Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village nestled between rolling green hills and a sparkling river, lived a young boy named Timmy. Timmy's family was not wealthy. They lived in a modest cottage at the edge of the village. Despite their limited means, Timmy's parents had taught him the value of kindness and compassion. They often reminded him of an old saying, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Timmy, with his big, brown eyes and a heart full of warmth, took these words to heart. He always tried to help others, even though he didn't have much to give. He shared his lunch at school, helped his neighbors carry groceries, and always offered a smile to anyone he met. One chilly autumn morning, Timmy was on his way to school. The air was crisp, and the leaves crunched under his worn-out shoes. As he walked along the familiar path, he saw a group of children from his class gathered around, pointing and whispering. Curious, Timmy hurried over to see what was happening. There, lying on the ground, was an older man, bruised and bleeding. His clothes were tattered, and he looked very weak. Timmy recognized him as Mr. Thompson, a man who lived on the outskirts of the village. People often avoided Mr. Thompson because he was poor and looked different from them. But Timmy remembered his parents' words and knew he had to help. "What's going on?" Timmy asked the other children. One of the boys, Jack, shrugged. "We found him like this. Probably just a beggar. Let's go before we're late for school." The others nodded in agreement and started to walk away. But Timmy couldn't leave Mr. Thompson there alone. He knelt down beside the man and gently touched his shoulder. "Mr. Thompson, can you hear me?" Timmy asked softly. Mr. Thompson groaned and opened his eyes, wincing in pain. "Yes, son, I can hear you." "Don't worry, sir. I'll get you some help," Timmy said, his voice full of determination. Timmy knew he didn't have much, but he remembered that his mother kept a small first aid kit at home for emergencies. He quickly ran back to his cottage, grabbed the kit, and rushed back to Mr. Thompson. The older man tried to sit up, but Timmy gently pushed him back down. "You need to rest, Mr. Thompson. Let me help you." Timmy carefully cleaned the wounds on Mr. Thompson's face and hands. He used up almost all the bandages in the kit, but he didn't mind. Mr. Thompson needed them more than he did. "Thank you, Timmy," Mr. Thompson said weakly. "You're a kind boy." Timmy smiled. It's what anyone would do. But as Timmy looked around, he realized that not everyone thought that way. The other children had left Mr. Thompson without a second thought. Timmy felt a pang of sadness for them, hoping that one day they would understand the importance of helping others. "Can you walk, Mr. Thompson?" Timmy asked. Mr. Thompson nodded slowly. "I think so, but I don't have anywhere to go." Timmy thought for a moment. He knew his family didn't have much, but they always found a way to help those in need. "You can stay with us until you're better. My parents will understand." With great effort, Timmy helped Mr. Thompson to his feet. They walked slowly back to the cottage where Timmy's mother, Mrs. Green, was busy baking bread. "Mom, this is Mr. Thompson," Timmy said as they entered the kitchen. "He needs our help." Mrs. Green looked at Mr. Thompson, her eyes filled with concern. "Oh my, what happened to you?" Mr. Thompson explained how he had been attacked by some robbers while he was traveling. They had taken everything he had and left him for dead. Mrs. Green's face softened with compassion. "You're welcome to stay here until you're back on your feet, Mr. Thompson. We don't have much, but we'll share what we have." Timmy felt a warm glow in his heart as his mother spoke. He knew that they would find a way to help Mr. Thompson, just as they had helped others before. Over the next few days, Timmy and his family took care of Mr. Thompson. They gave him food, a warm bed, and most importantly, their kindness. Mr. Thompson's health slowly improved, and he began to regain his strength. One evening, as they sat around the dinner table, Mr. Thompson spoke up. "I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me. I was a stranger, and you treated me like family. Why did you do it?" Timmy's father, Mr. Green, smiled and looked at his son. Timmy reminded us of something very important: to love our neighbor as ourselves. It's a lesson we should all remember. Timmy felt proud of his parents and even prouder of himself for living by the values they had taught him. He realized that helping others wasn't about how much you had, but about how much you cared. Word of Timmy's kindness spread throughout the village. People began to see Mr. Thompson in a new light, understanding that he was just a person in need of help, like anyone else. The children who had ignored him felt ashamed and came to apologize. They asked Timmy how they could make things right. "It's never too late to do the right thing," Timmy said. "We can all help each other, no matter how small the gesture." From that day on, the village became a more caring and compassionate place. The children, inspired by Timmy's example, started looking out for one another and helping those in need. They organized food drives, helped the elderly with chores, and always made sure no one felt alone or forgotten. Timmy continued to live by the words his parents had taught him. He grew up to be a respected and beloved member of the community, always ready to lend a helping hand and a kind word. And so, the little village thrived, all because one small boy with a big heart showed everyone the true meaning of loving your neighbor as yourself. Timmy's story became a cherished tale passed down through generations, reminding everyone that kindness and compassion are the greatest gifts one can give. As the years passed, Timmy's reputation as a kind-hearted individual only grew. His actions continued to inspire others in the village and beyond. But the true test of his character came when an unexpected event shook the village. One summer, after several weeks of drought, the village well dried up. Without a reliable source of water, the villagers faced a serious crisis. The crops began to wither, and the livestock suffered. People were worried and tempers began to fray. Timmy, now a teenager, understood that something had to be done. He called a meeting in the village square. Everyone gathered, their faces lined with worry and desperation. "We need to work together," Timmy said, standing on a small wooden crate so everyone could see him. "I know we're all scared, but we can get through this if we help one another." Mr. Green, Timmy's father, stepped forward. "Timmy is right. We need to pool our resources and share what we have. This is the time to remember the lesson we've all learned, to love our neighbors as ourselves." The villagers murmured in agreement, but the challenge was immense. They needed water, and the nearest river was several miles away, over rough terrain. Timmy suggested forming a group to travel to the river each day and bring back as much water as they could carry. Volunteers stepped forward, including Jack, who had once dismissed Mr. Thompson so callously. Jack had changed over the years, inspired by Timmy's unwavering kindness. The group set out early the next morning, armed with buckets, barrels, and anything else that could hold water. The journey was tough, but Timmy's spirit kept them going. He encouraged the younger children, helped the older villagers, and made sure everyone stayed hydrated along the way. When they finally reached the river, they filled their containers and began the arduous trek back to the village. The sun was high and the heat was oppressive, but they pressed on, driven by the thought of helping their neighbors. Back in the village, Timmy organized a system to distribute the water fairly. Each family received enough to meet their immediate needs. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it kept them going. Days turned into weeks, and the situation remained dire. But the villagers, led by Timmy's example, continued to work together. They dug a new well in a different location, hoping to find a more reliable water source. Timmy spent long hours helping, his hands blistered and sore, but he never complained. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and pink, the digging crew hit something hard. Hope surged through the group as they dug faster. Water began to seep into the hole, and soon a small spring bubbled up from the ground. Cheers erupted as everyone realized they had found a new source of water. The village was saved, and it was all thanks to the collective effort and the leadership of a boy who had always believed in the power of kindness and community. The new well was named Timmy's Well in honor of the boy who had reminded everyone of the importance of loving their neighbors. With the water crisis over, life in the village returned to normal. But the experience had changed everyone. They had learned that no matter how difficult the circumstances, they could overcome anything by working together and caring for one another. Timmy continued to inspire those around him. He organized cleanup days to keep the village tidy, started a community garden to ensure everyone had access to fresh produce, and set up a tutoring program to help children who were struggling in school. As the years went by, Timmy's influence spread beyond the village. People from neighboring towns heard about the boy who had saved his village through sheer determination and kindness. They came to learn from him, and soon, the entire region was transformed by the values Timmy had lived by his whole life. Timmy grew into a wise and compassionate man. He never sought fame or fortune, but his actions earned him the respect and admiration of all who knew him. He continued to live by the principle his parents had taught him, and his legacy of love and kindness lived on long after he was gone. In the end, Timmy's story was not just about a boy who helped his neighbor. It was about the power of one person to make a difference, no matter how small they might seem. It was a story about the strength of a community united by love and compassion. And it was a reminder that, in a world where we can be anything, the most important thing we can be is kind. Timmy's story became a part of the village's history, a legend passed down from generation to generation. Children grew up hearing about the boy who had saved his village, and they were inspired to follow in his footsteps. They learned that true greatness comes not from wealth or power, but from the kindness of one's heart. And so, the village flourished, a beacon of hope and compassion, all because of one small boy with a big heart. Timmy's legacy lived on, a testament to the enduring power of love and the importance of loving your neighbor as yourself. If you enjoyed Timmy's story and want to hear more tales of kindness, bravery, and adventure, make sure to subscribe to Kids Craze Tunes. Our channel is filled with stories that will inspire, entertain, and teach you valuable lessons. By subscribing, you won't miss out on any of our exciting and heartwarming content. Join our community of young viewers and embark on wonderful journeys with us. Remember, the best stories are just a click away. So hit that subscribe button now, and let's discover the magic of storytelling together.